So as a baseline pre-COVID, it was about 3-to-1 pre-owned to new. Is that going to be our new norm again?
Yeah, I think for on highway, it was in that 3-to-1 and, a little bit higher actually for certain product categories. I think that it's been much higher than that because of the both the decline in new supply as well as the explosion in the market, increased used sales so significantly. So I think we will see more of a return to that at a overall retail level. Within a dealership, 1-to-1 ratio is more common, pre-owned to new. And I think over the last couple of years, that definitely went up for those that were active in pre-owned. Many dealers were. So it's going to return back to more of that level, most likely.
That's for motorcycles and stuff. What about side-by-side sleds and personal watercraft, these closely aligned products?
Yeah, in those categories, particularly side-by-sides, the ratio has typically been more like 0.5-to-1. Drastically different. Well, why is that? Well, overall, side-by-side is a fairly new product category still. Motorcycles have been around for over 100 years. So there just isn't as much pre-owned inventory to work with, and it's been evolving rapidly. So, the new models are amazing from all the manufacturers. So it's just been a different ratio. Same thing happened there where the used ratio did go up, but it will go back to what it was pre-COVID is my opinion. If I'm a dealer today and I'm holding on to a bunch of used inventory, I would probably be looking at making sure I have the right balance or less. I'd probably be hedging my bets to the negative a bit. And the reason I would do that is I believe pre-owned inventory will be easy to get in the spring. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to be able to get it, whether it's the auction process or, through other methods. So if you end up, hedging a little bit too much and you're a little shy of what you need, you can get more. It's not going to be a problem. But if you go into it heavy and you end up with extra stuff going into next summer, I think you're not going to be happy about that situation because you're probably going to be hanging on to stuff that you paid too much for that you're not going to be able to get rid of at that point in time. So I'd go into it into the spring leaner for sure.
Well, to NPA's credit, even back in the very beginning of the COVID, when dealers were paying retail for used units, you tried to caution them. You put the dampers on as much as you could, but in a competitive environment, you can't stop people from driving those prices up. So are we seeing a right sizing of the pricing structure, or is the expectation level now that I'm still going to get that because that's what I paid for it at the dealer level?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Definitely going to right size, Robin. We're seeing that. There's actually room to go in that regard. I've done a lot of analysis and charts and things like that that kind of paint a picture for that. A question that we've gotten over the last couple of years is, holy cow, how could things be so expensive at auction? That's crazy. It's close to retail money. Yeah, I mean, we hold the party. We don't set the price. It's the free market that sets the price. That's the beauty of the process. And it could be strong pricing, it could be weak pricing. It is what it is. The good news is that dealers were able to also charge more. So in fact, the margins, even with higher auction prices, for many dealers were higher the last couple of years on pre-owned inventory than years prior, even though their acquisition cost had gone up. So that will continue to be a similar ratio, but at a lower level, right? Because people don't need as much inventory, I think, at this point in time. There's still demand for it. It will still sell. There's still somebody out there that could use that vehicle, but not at the price at wholesale that, that we and the dealers were getting, or that we were, selling things for on behalf of our customers over the last couple of years. So I think it is a right sizing. And, we're at a point now where, if I could describe it in a simple fashion, one of the things we look at is what we call retained value or depreciation stability. So if you take something like a 2-year-old vehicle over the last several years, what did it sell for at auction relative to its original MSRP, right? What does that look like? And is that stable? Is it going up? Is it going down? Theoretically, in a rational, normal market, it should be fairly stable. Whatever that product category happens to be, it should probably be performed similarly over time. And for something like, let's say, domestic cruisers, right, the largest on-road category, it's not uncommon for the retained value of a 2-year-old model or so to be between 60 to 70%, but I would say 60% of original MSRP is a fairly normal wholesale value for that vehicle in decent condition. Well, during COVID, it shot up to over 80%, almost 85%. 25% increase in value. Holy cow, right? But dealers were selling them, they were making money, so it was okay, it worked. But it's down now to more in the 70% or so range, and that's not where it was. So even though pricing has fallen, and I think that there's a lot of consternation amongst the dealer community now about, holy cow, this stuff has fallen off like crazy. I'm stuck with this inventory. What do I do? There's actually some more room to go to get back to that more normal level.
So from the macro view to a micro view, specifically for Harley Davidson, the last air-cooled Sportster rolled off the line. Does that create a micro spike for guys that are purists and traditionalists, and that's going to be a strong market if you're sitting on those?
It could, when we've seen that happen with other models in the past, sometimes brands, when a brand ceases to manufacture something, a Victory would be an example, right? Great bike, but Polaris reshifted their energies towards Indian. In the beginning, it didn't have too much of an impact, and then there was a softening of vehicles because they were still plentiful, and then they went up over time. And because there were people that really wanted the Victory, they loved the bike, and they just couldn't get them anymore except for through the pre-owned channel or through auction. We don't really see many of those these days, so that's past. Sportsters could go through the same cycle, where initially it might not have too much of an impact, and then they may soften a little bit as people trade them in for other stuff and there's plentiful supply. But there may be a few years from now, people are like, man, I really would like that bike, and they like customizing them or whatever their preference might be. And when that supply thins out, the pricing will probably go up a little bit, and then they'll all be gone at that point. Pricing
Or like the FXRs.
I'm sorry,
like the FXRs.
It could be, yep. Or in gas prices too. In 08, there was a massive run on Sportsters, especially the 883s in 2008, when gas prices shot up and went through the roof. And that lasted about 4 months, and they came right back down again when gas prices came down. So, that's not necessarily a function of the life cycle of that product, but that product is a good candidate for that again. So depending on what happens with gas prices going forward, there may be some economies there that drive their pricing up or down.